Good evening. It is Wednesday, the 26th of June, 2024. It is 8:30 p.m. UK time. This is the 45-day show, episode 24. And I have a very special guest tonight, a good friend of mine. He's someone that I've been connected with for the last few years, and certainly from about the beginning of 45 Day and maybe slightly before. So we've met in person a few times. I've DJed with him. He's come and DJed at my events. And he's on the verge of doing one of the biggest events they've done as part of Soul 45. So I thought, let's get him on, talk about that, which is Glastonbury Festival, which is crazy. But we've got a lot to talk about before that. But before we do, we have Mark James from Soul 45.
Hello, good evening. How you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm in a really good place. I'm excited about stuff I'm doing. It's really nice seeing my friends achieve what they're doing as well. So that's why I thought it'd be great to have you on to capture this sort of moment before you head to Glastonbury. And then maybe we can do a show when you get back and sort of like, you know, how it was, experiences and stuff. Because me and Sam did it when we went to Glastonbury in 22. We did like a couple of shows before and then a show after. It just, yeah, it's a great...
Yeah, that sounds like fun. And I appreciate the introduction and shout outs. Obviously, likewise, I follow what you do. And I think it's brilliant. You know, you're taking the sound worldwide. So fair play to you. And, you know, I wish you all the success with that as well.
Thanks, man. It's great. It's great to see it all growing. And obviously, we'll talk about lots of little bits. But you have been on a show before, but I don't think we got to this question, which I ask most of my guests, which is basically musical influences and who it was who first got you into music from a young age. And, you know, was it parents, friends, brothers, sisters, what was it? And the sort of music that you're into from that age.
Yeah, I would say probably my older brother had a lot to do with that. He was 4 years older than me. So being a teenager first in the household, he's playing things like rock music. We're talking Metallica, Rage Against the Machine, Nirvana, Guns N' Roses, different bands like that, but also hip hop as well. So Public Enemy, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Cypress Hill. So two things like that growing up in my house, I would say hearing that from my brother first time. That got me into it, definitely. From there, I started to get into learning guitar when I was about 10, maybe 11. So playing a lot of those rock riffs and things like that, trying to do those things. I would say, yeah, definitely the musical influence from my bro has got a lot to do with that.
And was he buying records at that time? And what sort
No, absolutely not. So, you know, we're talking late 80s and 90s, throughout the 90s. You know, it would have been cassettes and CDs.
Yeah.
Later on in life, definitely vinyl came into play. But, you know, back then, and obviously for my friends, you know, we were a kind of, you could say, you know, going down HMV and just buying CDs. There wasn't any point in buying vinyl because we didn't have decks. So no one really had turntables in the house. Also, we were looking at the Napster kind of generation. You know, we were on that, downloading all that stuff. That was kind of where it was at back then.
Yeah, it's a very different musical consuming of it music now compared to back then. It was completely different, isn't it? So cool. Okay, so from there, where do you then go in terms of starting to buy actual music? I assume you start with CDs, and then when do you sort of then perhaps move into vinyl?
I reckon I bought my first record probably 2001, 2002, but it wasn't for any DJ purposes. So I was getting into sampling and making beats. Once I went to university and I started to meet a lot of people there who were into hip hop, but also discovering that DJ scene for the first time, meeting people that were kind of 10 years, 20 years already into their game. And of course, vinyl is a big part of that. So it really opened my eyes up to it. I was aware of kind of the sampling thing, but like once I understood and actually saw people playing those records, it kind of just clicked into place. So I was actively buying up records just to sample.
Cool. And at that time, what did you have in terms of equipment? What were you using to play the records, and what were you using to sample?
So my first deck was like a Sixtronics, like with a Newmark mixer, pretty cheap. You know, it's all I could get hold of. But I had a pretty cool drum machine. It was an Akai MPC, a 2000.
Nice.
And that was just great for making beats, chopping up beats, real easy to do. And yeah, I would say like just probably some of the best years of my life actually doing that, making those beats, writing rhymes, taking them down the pub, performing them with my friends, them getting into it. There was a whole kind of scene bubbling at the time, which was really cool to be part of.
And was that in Southampton where you are now? Or is that somewhere else?
No, it was in Portsmouth.
Okay.
So there was quite a big hip hop night there at the time. There was quite a cool funk and soul night. So the two of things were like really appealing, and getting to know the guys behind all of that and learning from them as well. I made some of the best friends of my life in Portsmouth. So yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. And from there, how did it come from buying your first record to then deciding you were going to move on from sampling and beat making to actually DJing?
In some ways, it was kind of forced. 2006 brought the rise of grime and killed our scene big time. No one wanted to hear that kind of old boom bap sound or anything like that. YouTube was coming on strong, so you had a lot of it, I guess, hitting the clubs and being more mainstream. Our sound felt dated. So I just think that it was a case of, well, what am I going to do? I've got all these records, and it was time to kind of get into that. I'd done little parties and stuff, so I knew how to kind of mix two records together, but it was nothing more than that. That said, getting into it, at the time I was using things like Final Cut and then Serato, so vinyl emulation stuff to kind of make it easier, because I didn't have a huge amount of, I guess, club friendly records. It was kind of like, all the records that I had were kind of like funk and soul and some old hip hop and lots of reggae and jazz and all these kind of things. So at the time it was kind of hard to establish something, find that kind of sound working. I was playing more mainstream stuff. I wouldn't say chart music, but just cool new music.
Yeah, and it's like you say, at that time, obviously that sort of music and those genres are very popular now, and it's what a lot of 45s DJs play and a lot of DJs. But back then, it just wasn't, was it? Because everyone was on the digital stuff, and it wasn't as popular as it is now.
Lots of new hip hop and things like that, playing that out at the time.
Yeah. So, can you tell us about some of the first sort of early gigs that you did, sort of as a DJ, and then obviously how it progressed to there?
Yeah, playing in bars, clubs, that kind of thing around the town. Small gigs, nothing too big. But in terms of 45s, it was kind of like a tipping point where my good friend, DJ Monkey P, Paul, sadly he passed away 10 years ago, but he introduced me to it was actually like a DJ Shadow and Cut Chemist, like you've probably heard of the Brain Freeze breaks, yeah, one of the original kind of like, I guess, staples of where you pinpoint where 45 culture might have started, right, as a DJ concept. But he showed me, I knew about the mix CD, but he showed me this live thing. They did it like in Los Angeles or wherever. And he said, we should do that. And the idea really was, get the 45s together and we make a party of it in the same way that they threw that party. And this was sort of like 2005, 2006. We were looking at that. And it was like suddenly my collection felt like I could play it out, because I was sampling Motown and Stax and Atlantic and things like that, old 45s. But actually the songs in their entirety were not something I'd ever considered just turning up and playing.
Yeah.
So that was like I guess a light bulb moment. And when he showed me the video, it all made sense. And he was like, I want to do this and stuff. Do you want to come on board? So the idea was to then start putting on a party and spinning 45s. So that kind of down to any kind of digital equipment that I had with Serato and whatnot, and turning up with boxes of records and playing those. And that was, I guess, the starting point for me, really, for doing it every weekend or most weekends, or it's certainly every month. Whereas initially it was just like every now and again, or when you get asked or whatnot.
Yeah, and there's something addictive about 45s, though, isn't there? Once you get into it, because someone was talking to me about this, and they're like, "Well, why 45s?" And I was like, "Well, it almost takes it back to the origins of DJ, where you'd go digging in your crate. You'd only bring whatever you had with you. You didn't have this 10,000 tracks on Serato, so you had to think about what the gig's going to be like, have every eventuality." And then play them quite quickly because they're only 3-4 minutes. So it's just a really fun and addictive way of sharing music, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Been doing it for so long now. I can't see me ever going back to doing a party off a laptop. Obviously, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But like, even to get back into it, I don't think I've got the MP3s anymore. That's computers and laptops gone by over like 2 decades. So to get back into that game, if I ever needed to, would be a challenge. I'd have to pretty much start from scratch. But obviously now with 45s, it's a different kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's been really successful for you, isn't it? Ever since. So from that sort of early stage of let's put a 45s party together, how did the sort of Soul 45 name come about, or did it come about at that stage, or was it later?
Yeah, so after doing stuff with my mate, I decided to. Well, actually, part of the reason was I'd moved town. So I'd met someone at the time, and they had a job in Southampton. It made sense to move there. So kind of forced into a different city, and wanted to try and do something there. So the idea, yeah, Soul 45 started in 2011, and there was a really cool bar in town called the Soul Cellar, which was fairly well known for putting on cool live bands and things like that. I was also aware of previous DJs who'd put on shows and parties and stuff, but what I wanted to do was kind of strip it right back to basics. In part, make it almost like mainstream and accessible for everyone. I wasn't really a fan of like putting on parties where other DJs would come and it would be just kind of like the boys hanging out and spinning to each other and stuff like that. Yeah, I wanted a party where the public would come and tell their friends, and it became this thing that grew. So stripping it right back to basics, keeping it simple with the music, Motown, Stax, Atlantic, some James Brown and things like that. Nothing too clever, well-known tunes. That's literally like party number one. And then month on month, just growing it and adding bits, a few other sounds. And we just moved the party to different venues. Actually, the Soul Cellar closed down, sadly. So we were kind of looking for somewhere new. That forced us into a different venue, different audiences. And it just kind of snowballed from there. We looked at what else can we do? How can we grow the party? Can we invite guests as well? We had a hell of a lot of really cool people come and spin at our parties. And that helped us because they had a great time and told other people about it. I can see DJ One of a Kind there has dropped a little comment. He's the type of guest that I'm talking about. Brings a huge wealth of knowledge, but also a different sound to our party. We've already got it warmed up and ready, so people like Andre can come in, play whatever he wants. There's no dictation on what he has to play. We kind of cover the bases and keep other people happy. So lots of different things like that, changing up venues, and then doing other things like, can we play in outdoor spaces? Can we put on parties that we perhaps shouldn't, but it still goes ahead? So just being super creative over 10 years, 13 years now, and trying to, I guess, push the boundaries, push the sound, but make it super accessible, as I said, to everyone, not just other DJs.
Yeah, and I think it's said a lot in sort of hip hop gigs, isn't it? It's like normally a sausage fest, and I suppose the same thing happens with like a DJ fest, isn't it? It is trying to get other people there, because otherwise, what's the point? If you're just playing to other DJs.
Absolutely, and we make a point of getting to know our people as well. I think that helps. It kind of breaks down that barrier of the DJ and the person. And this is why a lot of DJs moan and complain about they're getting their dumb requests from the people in the audience, because it's like they don't know, and they don't know I owe them anything either. Do you know what I mean? It's like they walk into the bar, it's like, that's the DJ, I'm going to tell him what to do. We don't really experience too much of that. Sure, we get the odd random sort of people, but over time, when you get to know who is coming and you actually bother to step down from the decks and onto the dance floor and dance with them, that's changes the whole kind of feeling and make people like want to come back. It seems to be just natural and the way to do it, and it's worked for us. We like meeting new people, especially who are like really into this kind of sound, because it's not there are a lot of other clubs in our city, so their sounds have naturally bigger followings. House, techno, there's way more I guess mainstream sound in comparison. A lot of people like it, so finding people who like funk, soul, hip hop and that certain type of groove that we're down with, it's like, yeah, we want to give fist bump and give you a cuddle, because it's building that culture and building our community up.
Yeah, it's community, isn't it? And it's like anything, whatever you invest in it, you're going to get back, and if you're spreading like good music, positive message, like, we're not sort of, these ridiculous ego-filled DJs. We're into the music just as much as you are. It's going to help, isn't it? And you're going to get the right people and the right vibe at your events.
Yeah, so I think, if you're not putting in that time, we're not the most technical DJs, okay? Dan and I, we've been in the game for a long time, but we're not the most technical. But we know how to put on a good party. We know we've got a good ear and good taste for sound.
Yeah.
But that's one side of it. You got to have, I guess, the need and want to get to know who's coming to your parties. We've actually kind of stepped out of our comfort zone recently and gone to a brand new venue. It's actually super cool. It's a church that's been converted into a live music venue. It's a friend of mine owns it, and he's bringing international touring bands to this place. But aside from that, we've kind of moved there because we're at a stage where we're only interested in people who want to really come to this now. This venue in particular is not on like a strip where there's other bars side by side. There's a lot of traffic, and footfall walking past. It's not like that anymore. I mean, we're not totally out in the woods. We're right next to the Mayflower Theatre in Southampton, which is a big, fairly well-known theatre. Gets a lot of, big shows and stuff, touring shows. But it's not next to all the bars and all the other clubs and some of the previous places that we've been. So what we are trying to do now is kind of, make it super dedicated. And actually, I think people are enjoying it. Like, they're making the effort. They're coming to this. They're sticking it in their calendar in advance. So if we can put on a great show for them and a great experience in a kind of maybe a little bit more exclusive environment and a cool environment, then that's kind of the idea of where we're at now.
And it's creating a safe space for people to come and listen to good music and be around other interesting people, aren't they? Because, if the people are into it, then they're clearly not into just the mainstream stuff or just a particular one single genre. They're open to music, and they're the people and creatives that you want to be around, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. As one of a kind said, great party, excellent people, passion about the music shines through, and there are not many sessions like it. Long may it continue. And we have Scotty Boy. That's me. Selection is everything. The tunes are everything, not the skills. I'm eclectic. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's the song that rises through, isn't it? You could be the most technical DJ in the world, but if you haven't got good songs, it just changes everything, doesn't it? So you still
absolutely. I mean, turntablism is always going to be an aspect of what we do, but there's been times where people haven't really cared for it, right? They're quite, I guess, hoping for the next tune to keep them dancing and keep them going. You try to do some routines and things like that, and it's like, well, they don't care for that too much.
Yeah.
Keeping that party flowing tends to be what works. And I would say if you're going to get someone to do a showcase and do a big routine, then great, you know, get some of the big names to do that because they do it better.
Yeah, I'm going to say hello to Malong in Panama. Saludos, gentlemen. Yeah, straight back at you. Good to see you. So yeah, it's creating that vibe, isn't it? And getting the right people and playing, not playing to the people, but playing to what they are going to appreciate. Because, like you say, you could get all technical and all the rest of it, but if it's not the right crowd, it's not the right crowd.
I think one of the things we try to do as well is break records. So we obviously, as all of us, as all DJs, we've probably got records in our box. It's like, we super love this. It's just as good as any other James Brown tune, but no one's ever heard of it, right? And we're like, okay, I'm dying to play this on Friday night. I'm going to play it. And you play it, and kind of like not many people are dancing like you hoped, yeah. But we keep working on those records to the point where we, after a couple of months, they turn around and it's like, oh, this tune, I get this, I like this. Do you know what I mean? It's still just as up tempo. So trying to keep that fresh as well, that side of it, I think is really important for us.
Is there like an example of one that you've been doing recently that you can say that you've sort of broken and sort of built up?
I can't think off the top of my head, but let's just say like other versions of certain tunes, maybe.
Yeah.
Or just some really dynamite funk and soul record that, you know, is up tempo, it's got a break in it perhaps, or it starts with a break or whatever, just as good, but just not James Brown. And you're kind of thinking like, I want to keep these in my repertoire and keep playing them and stuff. Sure, they're not as well known. They're not, you know, going to necessarily be super heard by everyone, but I think it's part of like what we do, and it's nothing more satisfying than maybe 2 months in going, well, they're dancing to it now, and maybe like a year later they're actually going, oh, play that tune, or what is that tune? I mean, Shazam, for example, has really helped. Yeah, I clock people on our dance floor Shazamming, and I want them to do that. If it comes up, brilliant. If it doesn't, they come to us, ask that tune. It's even better. So yeah, all those things.
That's basically what you want as a DJ, isn't it? To play music that you know is good and share it with people and hope that they like it, or, you know, like you say, keep pushing it. Right, I'm wearing an OD Records t-shirt, so this Overdraft Records. I've been down and played a few times. It's a great space. I love it, including last year, where I think you didn't tell me till very late that it was DJ Format's 50th. I think maybe when I arrived, you were like, "Oh yeah, you know, it's DJ Format's 50th."
Yeah, we like to throw some surprises, and
and you're like, "Yeah."
DJ Format's a good friend of mine and ours, and he's kind enough to come and play now and again. I think his parents live around the corner, so it's just kind of one of those things where he can kind of stay around theirs and crash, and it's convenient, and yeah, so that's a nice thing that we do now and again. We don't need to make a big deal out of it. We don't need sometimes to even make a poster. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, but it's a great venue and a great record store. So one of the things I saw you post about it is, I think it's open because it's like a bar license, isn't it? It's probably the latest opening record store in the UK. Is that right?
Yeah, so I did put that out on social media, and then a few people pointed out that there's another kind of like late night record shop / coffee shop, and it's the Exchange on the Isle of Wight in Ventnor, I think. So yeah, but they close half an hour slightly before us, so I think we got the win there. But yes, because we're half a craft ale bar and a record shop and a restaurant as well, we have unusual opening hours from, I guess, a traditional record store. So we pretty much in the day like only open up at 4 p.m. So we're not open up at like 9 or 10 or anything like that. At the weekends we're open up early, but yeah, we stay open late, 10:30, 11 o'clock, midnight on weekends. DJs playing every Friday and Saturday night, and various live events and other things going on. Open decks we do as well, which is pretty cool, pretty popular. Since we've been open, we've had like 200 people come and spin on the decks. not necessarily DJs, but people who collect records, listen to records at home. Obviously, with the vinyl revolution and people buying vinyl again, that's the kind of audience that comes down there. But it's really good, super eclectic mix of people, all walks of life, which makes it really interesting. And I guess for me, I like to meet certain people that have had records for years and they've kept hold of them all this time, and now they're having their first opportunity to spin once again. So you can see that the kind of almost like the happiness on their faces sometimes when they're doing it and playing to an audience again after all this time. So yeah, lots of different things bubbling down at Overdraft Records.
Yeah, it's great. Now, a couple of things. In terms of getting involved in the record store, how did you get involved? And was it like primarily records that you had that you needed to get rid of, or were you buying collections?
Yeah, pretty much. So my friend Mika, who owns Overdraft, the bar, he approached us and said he wanted to do a record store or convert part of it. And at the time, I was uploading records to Discogs just to get rid of, and I just thought, well, this is a cool opportunity. I was already DJing in the bar anyway, so really kind of familiar with what was going on there, and it just seemed like, okay, we can make this work. So I had enough to kind of, I guess, stock it first time round, and then at a point where, you know, it was getting quite good and quite successful, we thought, okay, let's go permanent and to convert the whole thing. So we turn it into a really cool like back record store, and the front end is like the bar and the live environment. It's been going 5 years now. It will be the 5th year this year, and I guess it's just grown into bigger spaces, stocking more records. You've seen the whole 45s area that we've created in the back.
Yeah.
You know, previously that was just a little area for people to sit and not do much. Now it's kind of like this area with a little turntable in the corner, and all the 45s are kind of categorized genres, boxes sitting on the shelves. So that's pretty cool. And I just think that, you know, we've kind of found a maybe a gap in the market, or found our own kind of following by opening up and doing that. We're a local neighborhood record shop, so very community based. And it'd be fair to say that the beer helps. So.
Well, yeah, but I think it is also, it's beer, it's good food, good music, and good people, isn't it? Really, and that's always been my experience. Whenever I've come down, the food's always been really good. The beer's been great. I've found loads of records in that 45s corner, and yeah, it's great. It's one of my favourite record stores I've ever been to. So
cool, thank you, mate.
Sorry. Now, obviously, we talked about open decks, and obviously that you're always encouraging people and younger people to get into it as well. And in addition, you had DJ Arlo from France come down and play.
Yeah, we did.
What was that like? Because we'd going back a bit. Hold on, we'd had a stream like this where I think it was something you'd suggested. I think about how we get the younger generation involved, and we did a show like this, and he was on there. You were on there, a couple of other people. And again, we were giving him tips for being a DJ and stuff to look out for and collecting 45. So what was it like to have him arrive and play at Overdraft?
Well, amazing, right? He's kind of better than most of us. So obviously he's great. I think his dad was more nervous than he was. He was pretty cool as a cucumber actually coming into the store. But no, really nice. Played a great set, had a lovely time. And it was kind of cool that we could make it happen, really. I think he played Rare Kind the next day.
We did Rare Kind.
And then we went to do a couple more different appearances and stuff. So, yeah, really great to have him in. And when we talk about, I guess, the future of 45s, or where the culture and the DJ culture could actually go, you're looking at him right there, like the next kind of generation and superstar of 45s. Because we've got superstars now.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting with him, having spoken to him again on a talk show and, you know, on his streams, is being into 45s has got him introduced to people like Andy Cooper and also people like Jim Sharp, and obviously can then be fed these new records, and obviously putting brand new 45s, brand new edits by super producer like that, to the state where he's now going to start producing music, which is amazing to think that one of our 45 kids, one of our 45 superstars, could be potentially making some really interesting music.
I wouldn't be surprised me if he starts releasing some 45 soon of his own production, maybe some edits, maybe some remixes or something like that. I would buy it.
Yeah,
the kid's talented, and I wish him nothing but success.
Yeah, and it's just been great for us to do the 45 Kids thing and allow the younger generation. And I love that you're doing a similar thing down in Overdraft. And it's great to see that people are still into records, and like you say, you're giving people opportunities. And also, it's men and women, isn't it? It's a real mix that you go.
Yeah, we do things like International Women's Day. I mean, it's a bit maybe it's a bit cliche or whatever, but getting the ladies involved is good fun, and they want to do it. And I guess the more we can make it accessible for everyone, it doesn't matter really. But if they, it's great. And also they bring a different vibe to the table as well.
And different music.
Different music.
Yeah,
absolutely. We've got quite a few in Southampton that do it. We've got some that do it regularly, some that just kind of do it whenever they feel like it. But that's the beauty of Open Decks, is every week the decks are there, you can sign up, and we don't necessarily know who's who going to be playing. We've got some awareness like a few weeks in advance, but it's an open calendar and people can sign up. So certainly when like a fresh name pops up in the calendar, you're like, oh, okay, who's that? We're meeting new people again. So it's good. It's good. And repeat people coming back. They've done one and they obviously got the bug for it. So you see them sign up again. It's like, oh, brilliant, he's coming back. So, or she wants to do it again. So yeah, it's a nice thing to see.
And it means you get to listen to different music from people's collections, and obviously present that. And again, it's building that community, isn't it? They'll bring a friend along, or they'll bring a couple of friends or family and stuff, and then they'll come to your Soul 45 events, and it's just building, isn't it? And just making it, like you said, inclusive and accessible to everyone.
Yeah, I don't actually try and blend the two, Soul 45 and OD Records, so much. I try to keep that fairly separate. I like to give other people the platform. Now that I've got the platform to give, I kind of like it like that. Sure, we'll fill in and do some bits and bobs throughout the year, but I think, and that said, even with Soul 45, it's one of the things, any bits of success we've had over the years, we've tried to take people with us, try and build things at the festivals or put on parties where we can have other people wanting to have a bit of share of some of the good stuff that we've got going on. So yeah, both kind of work nicely, but I do like to kind of keep them separate where I can.
Cool. Right. So, as I said at the top of the show, the reason we're here is because you very recently announced that Soul 45 is going to be at Glastonbury, but not just at Glastonbury, but in a brand new venue, 4 nights, 5 hours a night, next to the Pyramid stage. So, tell us how that has sort of come about, and tell us what's going to be involved for the next few days.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, I've got to be honest. We've still got some work to do and quite a bit of packing to do tonight. We're setting off tomorrow morning, and we are looking at 4 days worth of DJing. It's going to be interesting, I've got to be honest. I've been to Glastonbury quite a few times actually, and the idea of playing there has always been super appealing. I actually wanted to be in a rock. I should be in a rock band right now. I'm playing at Glastonbury, not a DJ really, but that's another story. The fact we're there is mind blowing, and I guess it's been that journey to create something that has caught the attention of certain people, which has enabled us to get the contacts and the calls that's lined us up to bring us to Glastonbury this year. So yeah, super cool, super exciting, and hopefully we can pull it off.
So are you taking, for example, we talked about I don't think we did actually. I think that might have been before. Did we talk about the Soul 45 light up logo that you've got?
Yeah, sure. So we're not taking that.
You're
we haven't got space. We've got a couple of people coming with us, with Dan and I, so we've got a bit of a crew. We are taking some bits and bobs. We got a bit of a stripped down version of our setup. It's the first time, and they were limited to what we could kind of fit on the stage or the area that they're giving us. So we're going to come prepared and bring those bits. There's many reasons why we're doing that, but ultimately we don't just ever rock up with our records and some decks. You know, we like to try and put on this big party, and if we can create some presence, then we'll do that. So yeah, as much as I can fit in the van, in all honesty, that's what we're up to. We'll be bringing the some of the box lights. We'll be bringing the TV light. I've got some banners. Just some of the things you've probably seen from our stage setup before, but just slightly different.
And how do you go about packing for that sort of event? Because obviously, you know, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, and it's, I think, 10 p.m. till 3 a.m. each night.
That's right. Yeah, 5 hours or so, with potential flexibility to go a bit longer, but we'll see how we go with that. How do we go about it? Well, we're looking at bringing quite a lot of records. I think I've probably got 300 plus in 3.5 boxes sitting in front of me, which is what I'm going to try and strip down a little bit tonight and reduce some of that. But it's a difficult one, I'll be honest with you. I feel like I want to take everything. I know I can't take everything. So it's a challenge to pack the right stuff. The way I've looked at it is we're there for a party. So we haven't got to warm up, right? We're not doing summery hours. It will be dark the moment we start. People will be on it, and the pyramid stage will be pretty much winding down their last band. So we're looking at keeping it up tempo. So I'm not bringing anything laid back, to be honest with you. And yeah, across the board kind of genres that we're known for: funk, soul, hip hop, reggae, dub, jazz.
Amazing. Now, I asked you before if you've got some 45s that you'll be taking and that people can expect.
I pulled out some.
Yeah, that people can expect. So are these ones that you think no matter what, you will definitely play?
No matter what. Sorry, what was that?
No matter what, these are records that you'll definitely play at Glastonbury.
I would have thought so. I don't see why not. They will certainly get into the mix, that's for sure. It's a variety of things, really. What have I got here? So
let me just solo you, and maybe you can just hold them up as well.
No. That's cool. That's cool. Oh. I had a bit more funk here, but I don't know where those have gone. Okay, so I mean, funk, soul, keeping it classics, things like This Is Scratching, Magic Disco Machine. It's on the Motown label there. Everyone knows that one from The Break. If we're going into some hip hop, we've got things like Stetson Sonnet, talking about all that jazz.
Yeah.
Guru, Never No Time to Play, the Jazz with Taz, bit of disco, things like, what have we got here? Patrice Russian, Haven't You Heard? I realise I'm holding that, it's just the white record. There we go. Teddy Pendergrass, I Can't Win for Losing. Also some 90s stuff as well, things like Zane, Groove Fang.
Yeah.
What else? Some reggae classics, reggae and dub. Sister Nancy, Bam Bam. Tennisaw, Ring the Alarm.
Yeah.
Also mashups and remixes and things like that, cover versions. So we got Suki Records, The Lions, Think About It.
Yeah.
Sure you'll pick that one up. That's dope. Jim Sharp's absolute dance floor classic. I owe him so much for that record because it's rocked every dancer I've ever played, and it's absolutely awesome. Maybe some other things like some Mr. Bongo 45s, some up tempo ones though, yeah, not some of the kind of the laid back bits, but a good old mix of things. Some boogie funk here, Carol Shanette, Cyanide Love. So different stuff, all up tempo, some old sounds, new sounds, some bits they've heard in, you know, maybe like mashup capacity or whatnot, but just keeping it cool, keeping it danceable. I think that's basically our goal for what we're trying to do there.
And I guess because of the nature of 45s and the nature of how you guys play, you know, although you're on 4 nights in a row, it's not going to be the same stuff. It's going to be a completely different vibe, but a good vibe, but an up-tempo vibe, and different on each of the 4 days, isn't it? Because that's how you DJ.
Yeah, I mean, we got no game plan as far as that's coming, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. Chatting to a friend today, and he just said, like, your A box, you should just probably end up playing that every night, but we'll see how it goes. I will be certainly packing a lot of cool funk and soul, 70s and 80s, but also there will be some, like, you know, greatest hits of those genres that we're playing. So it'll be a good mix, enough to keep me interested, enough to keep the people interested, and yeah, hopefully they dig it.
Cool. And probably last topic at the moment, you're obviously playing, as we said, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so that your evenings are taken up with obviously performing and doing the shows. During the days, is there any particular artists that you're looking to check out?
I hope I've got the strength and energy to catch something. Little Sims is probably top of my list.
Yeah.
I need to go and catch my boys Craig Charles and Don Letts. I've got to go and see them. We've actually got quite a few friends coming from different circles.
Yeah.
So I've been invited to things in Block 9 and around that sort of area. Greg Belson is playing the NYC Download, so I've got to go and check in with him. Various things, really. I will, I will just be playing it by ear, to be honest with you. I don't know how much energy is going to be taken up by doing the shows each night, but I hope I can check in with the things that I want to see and some of the other DJs that I know are playing as well.
Yeah.
In terms of some of the main stuff, you know, I can live without seeing it this year just because I've got so much on.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the problem, is it? Because, you know, if people haven't been, Glastonbury is just absolutely...
I've been fortunate and very spoiled in previous past Glastonburys to see enough half-decent stuff. So,
yeah,
you know, things like Cypress Hill, Jurassic 5, it goes on. All sorts of things. I'm cool this year to kind of just see how it goes, but also check in with some of my friends. I think that's what we'll be up to.
Yeah, and it was great when me and Sam went. It was great to be able to go and meet other people that we knew were there. Like, you know, we bumped into like Emma Noble and Sophie Heath, and then we saw Shaka Loves You, and obviously saw Craig Charles. So it's great going firstly as a sort of artist or crew, but it's also great that your mates are there that you can go and check out their shows where it's all in the same place within 3 or 4 days. That's part of the beauty of it, isn't it? Because you don't get all those people together that often in the same place.
Also getting to just celebrate what they've achieved as well. Seeing them, you know, getting their Glastonbury gigs last year or years before that, it's just like, well, okay, great. We're finally getting to see people playing or spinning 45s at Glastonbury. Yeah. So that's cool.
And it's a big thing because it's next to the pyramid stage. That's the thing. You know, it's not sort of hidden away in a sort of little bar somewhere. It's a major space, which is great. Okay, so where do you see this 45s culture going next? Obviously, I'm doing sort of events in the UK and sort of outside. Are you looking to try and spread Soul 45 international as well?
World domination. It's not going to happen without a big bank account and loads of money, I'll be honest with you. What we do generally is self-funded. We don't get a huge amount for DJing anyway. We're talking pocket money. I'm sure most of you can relate. But in terms of the future and what we'd like to do, yeah, there's some more bucket list things we'd like to do. I've got my eyes on Japan, probably going back to New York. We had a nice time a few years back playing a few shows in New York before, so that was cool. Yeah, seeing what we can do and get away with there. I think in terms of the future of 45s and the whole DJ culture that's going on right now, I think we're just going to see it grow. I think we're going to see more people get into it. I think we're going to see a lot more people trying to do more adventurous parties and not just playing in small little bars and pubs. There's a lot of DJing in restaurants going on right now. So I think we're going to change that, and I think we're going to see people do more creative and interesting things. If we're not, then people should start doing that.
Yeah, but I think you have to do it. Like you say, it's doing shows rather than just turning up and doing a gig. You know, that's the beauty of it, and putting on events that are interesting for you and the public and are slightly different to what everyone else is doing. It's definitely the way. And
I think we're going to see a lot more superstars as well. I mentioned that earlier. You know, obviously we all know, and we've got a lot of time and appreciation for DJ Coco, right? He is top of the game. Let's be honest. I think also we all know lots of other DJs who are probably equally as good. So I'm hoping that they're going to get a bit of more spotlight if they want that, if they want to go for it and push that.
Yeah, I think people like Coco have opened it up and shown people what is possible.
Jim Sharp, for example, is on tour right now, and that's great to see. You know, him stepping out and doing things like that.
Yeah, it's amazing, and obviously doing gigs with AA as well. And it's great seeing all these different 45s communities along the way with the tours. So obviously they've all put on their own events like Fresh 45s and whoever else is hosting Jim. But it's great to see that they can get a guest in and still celebrate in their own little 45s community that's then linked to the next one because it's part of a tour. It's all about collaboration.
Absolutely. I mean, worldwide, as you know, there's a hell of a lot going on. You're probably responsible for a lot of that as well.
So little bits of it, maybe. But yeah, it's been.
I mean, we're talking like, I don't know, 15 years ago or a bit less. I was inspired by things going on in America and things in California, like the 45 sessions. You've heard of them on Mondays. Some of the things going on in New York as well with Natasha Diggs.
Yeah.
So you know, a lot of that was super inspiring. What's great to know is like what we do here in the UK is pretty much on par with things going on there, and you know, other things going on in Europe and stuff like that. Australia as well. You know, there's big things going on there too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great to see it as a global DJ phenomenon, which I think it's fair to say that's what it is right now.
It's just bringing all these dots together, isn't it, in one form, and putting it all together. And that's the key, because obviously, like you say, we've got people like DJ D in Australia, we've got like Mark Hyde, Robert Smith in Germany, you know, we've got the Mr. Thing in the UK, we've got all the amazing DJs, Scratch Bastard, and
we got Mr. Thing,
and you know, all these people. And it's great that we are sort of connected now through Twitch and through the communities. It's just a case of trying to put all that together into, you know, a bigger community.
Yeah, and do you know what? I haven't really met anyone who's been an arse or who's got a massive ego. Well, I've met a couple, but the majority are straight up decent and get this whole thing right. You try and push the whole 45 culture or try and take the spotlight or the champion kind of status or whatever. You know, people kind of see through that thing. So I don't think there's any need for most people to kind of adopt that persona within this kind of thing. A bit like I said earlier about like DJs playing to DJs, you know, it gets stale pretty quick if that's your only audience. So, and that's where people start to get a little bit annoyed, they fall out and whatnot. So I think that it's been quite refreshing actually in this part of the DJ culture world. There seems to be less trouble and less tantrums. Certainly when you see other videos on Twitch from, I guess, the house or techno world or other things like that, it's just like, well, it's totally different to what we're up to.
Yeah, Yeah. Right, cool. Let me just set this raid going. Just saying hello to Dan.
Big up Disco Dan.
Just joined us as we're sort
You're
of
late, my friend.
But it's let's raid. Okay, cool. We're going to go see DJ OP1. But thank you so much for giving up your time. I know it's precious time packing before Glastonbury. Hopefully, we've still got some time to whittle down those 300 odd or however many it is. Big shout out to everyone who's hung out tonight. We had Double P, One of a Kind, Scotty Boy, DJ Fade, and anyone else I've missed. That's it. Yeah. But thanks everyone coming in. Disco Dan, of course. Have an amazing time. I'm sure you will. And if you will,
thank you, mate.
Come back
Appreciate
on
it.
a couple of weeks or something, 2-3 weeks, and then we'll do another one of these, and just you can tell me about some of the experiences, because I'm eager to hear how it goes.
Yeah, cool. Obviously, we'll be doing a whole lot of social media stuff, so you'll be seeing little bits and bobs pop up on there. You can follow us at Soul45DJs. Lots of different people in the chat. I hope to meet you guys at some point in time, so thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks for you, Chris. Owe you a lot, my friends, and onwards and upwards, right?
Definitely. Right, cool. Thanks everyone, and we'll set the raid. If you just hang on there for a second, and we will raid out. Yeah, take it easy.